What if I told you that the challenges you're facing right now aren't random punishments or cruel tests, but precisely calibrated preparations for something greater than you can currently imagine? That what feels like the universe testing your limits is actually a sacred training ground, perfectly designed to develop the exact qualities you'll need for your next level of evolution? This isn't positive thinking or spiritual bypassing. This is a profound shift in perception that changes everything about how you experience difficulty, one that's supported by both cutting-edge neuroscience and ancient wisdom traditions. Take a deep breath with me now. Feel the weight of whatever you've been carrying, the challenges, the uncertainties, the moments when you've whispered to yourself, "Why is this happening to me?" Let's explore this question together, not with platitudes, but with a deep dive into how reality actually works. There's a silent pain that few people openly admit, looking at your own challenges and wondering, why always me? It feels as if the universe has somehow selected you to carry a burden that others seem to escape. This sensation of cosmic injustice doesn't come from nowhere. It has deep roots in how your brain processes reality itself. Your reptilian brain, that ancient part governing survival, doesn't distinguish between physical threat and emotional challenge. When life presents you with difficulties, this primitive system interprets them as personal attacks. Dr. Bruce Lipton explains that we live 95% of our time in the subconscious, where protection programs reside that transform neutral experiences into narratives of persecution. Think about the last time you faced a significant challenge. In those moments, your brain doesn't just process the practical implications, it immediately begins constructing a story about what this means about you and your place in the universe. For many people, that story sounds something like, "This always happens to me. I'm being punished." Or, "The universe is against me." This interpretation isn't just psychological, it's neurobiological. When you perceive yourself as being tested or punished, your body releases stress hormones like cortisol and adrenaline. These chemicals narrow your perception, reduce access to your prefrontal cortex, your brain's center for creative problem solving, and prepare you for fight or flight rather than thoughtful response. The prefrontal cortex, responsible for conscious interpretation, literally goes offline during stress. That's why, in the middle of the storm, you can't see purpose, only pain. Your brain chemistry is programmed to survive, not to understand the bigger picture. But here's the insight that changes everything. People who see preparation where others see punishment have different neural patterns. They've developed what neuroscience calls cognitive flexibility, the ability to reinterpret events without changing the facts. Research from Stanford University's Center for Compassion and Altruism Research has found that individuals who can reframe challenges as opportunities show increased activity in the ventral striatum, associated with reward and motivation, and decreased activity in the amygdala, associated with fear and threat detection. This neural signature isn't just positive thinking. It's a fundamentally different way of processing reality that changes how your body and brain respond to adversity. Joe Dispenza discovered that brains in states of gratitude and acceptance produce gamma waves, frequencies associated with expanded perception. In this state, you access information that the survival mode brain simply cannot process. You literally see opportunities and connections that remain invisible to the contracted consciousness. This explains why two people can face identical challenges and have completely different experiences. One person sees only punishment and suffers accordingly. The other perceives preparation and discovers hidden gifts within the difficulty. Same external circumstance, entirely different internal reality. When you feel like you're being tested, pause and breathe for 30 seconds. This simple act activates your parasympathetic nervous system, bringing your prefrontal cortex back online. Then ask yourself, what capacity in me is being strengthened right now? Don't look for immediate answers. Simply plant the question and observe how your perception reorganizes itself in the coming days. Every major change in nature follows the same pattern: disintegration before reintegration. The caterpillar doesn't improve to become a butterfly. It literally dissolves into cellular soup before reorganizing into something completely new. Your process is no different. Inside the chrysalis, specialized cells called imaginal cells begin to appear. At first, the caterpillar's immune system actually attacks these cells, recognizing them as foreign. But the imaginal cells continue to multiply until they reach a critical mass and begin communicating with each other. Eventually, they organize into the structures that will become the butterfly. Your periods of greatest challenge often follow this same pattern. Parts of your identity, your attachments, your beliefs about how life should be, all begin to dissolve. And just like the caterpillar's immune system, your ego resists this dissolution. This resistance is what creates the sensation of being tested or punished. Quantum physics reveals that systems in crisis are systems approaching a quantum leap. Ilya Prigogine, Nobel Prize winner in chemistry, showed that dissipative structures, like you in transformation, need chaos to access new levels of organization. Your crisis isn't collapse, it's cosmic reorganization. There are specific signs that indicate you're being prepared rather than punished. Pay close attention, because these signals often appear subtly before becoming obvious. When preparation is underway, the universe intensifies signals, not forced coincidences, but subtle patterns that appear repeatedly. Numbers, conversations, books that fall into your hand at the exact right moment. You might experience discomfort without apparent cause, a deep restlessness, as if something in you knows it needs to change, even if your logical mind doesn't understand what. This sensation often feels like being too big for your current life. Things that once satisfied you no longer do. Your system is literally outgrowing its current configuration, making space for what's next. Sacred isolation often occurs, moments where you feel disconnected from people or situations that previously made sense. This isn't depression, it's recalibration. Your frequency is changing, and naturally, you move away from what no longer resonates. Intense dreams may become more common, your subconscious processing information from possible futures. The sleeping mind doesn't have the limitations of the waking mind. It can perceive connections and possibilities beyond your conscious awareness. Each challenge carries precise information about your next level. If you're facing self-esteem issues, your soul is preparing for a life that requires genuine self-confidence. If you're dealing with loss, you're being prepared for something that requires detachment. The universe is economical. It never gives unnecessary lessons. All preparation is specific and personal to your journey. This isn't abstract theory. It's practical wisdom that can transform how you experience difficulty. Look at your 3 biggest current challenges. For each one, complete this sentence. If I completely mastered this situation, what kind of person would I become? The answers reveal who you're being prepared to be. There's a subtle seduction in feeling tested by the universe. It absolves you of creative responsibility. When you're a victim of circumstances, you don't need to examine how your energy contributes to what you manifest. It's a comfortable prison that keeps your power dormant. This isn't about blame, it's about agency. When you perceive yourself as being punished or tested, you cast yourself as the passive recipient of cosmic judgment. This perspective might offer temporary comfort, but it comes at a tremendous cost. Your creative power. The test mentality creates an antagonistic relationship with life. You against the universe. This resistance frequency generates electromagnetic fields of struggle that attract exactly more situations to struggle against. It's a self-reinforcing cycle that keeps you trapped in the same patterns. HeartMath Institute research has demonstrated that different emotional states generate measurably different electromagnetic fields around the body. States of victimhood, resentment, or perception of being tested create incoherent, chaotic fields. These fields interact with your environment in ways that perpetuate the very experiences you're trying to escape. Research shows that brains in victim mode produce patterns of high beta waves, stress frequencies that limit access to the prefrontal cortex. In this state, you literally cannot see creative solutions or expanded perspectives. You're neurologically incapable of perceiving the opportunities within the challenge. More dangerous, constant victimization sculpts specific neural networks. Your brain becomes efficient at finding evidence of injustice and inefficient at recognizing growth opportunities. It's like wearing glasses that only show problems. When you shift from why me to what for in me, something quantum happens. You exit the frequency of resistance and enter the frequency of cosmic cooperation. Dr. Dispenza measures this shift. States of acceptance and curiosity produce heart coherence, harmonic rhythms between heart and brain that synchronize you with fields of possibility. This isn't about denying pain or pretending everything is fine. It's about recognizing that you're an active participant in creating your experience, not a passive recipient of random events. This shift in perception doesn't ignore the reality of your challenges. It expands your relationship with them. Each difficult situation offers two questions. As a victim, why is this happening to me? As a co-creator, how can I use this to become who I need to be? The first question looks for someone to blame. The second looks for growth. The first contracts your field and consciousness. The second expands them. Same situation, entirely different trajectories based solely on which question you choose to hold. To liberate yourself from the victim mentality, practice these steps. First, acknowledgement. I am experiencing this. I don't like it, but I am experiencing it. Second, responsibility. What part of my energy contributed to creating this reality? Third, reorientation. If this situation were a disguised teacher, what lesson would it be trying to teach me? Fourth, cooperation. How can I align my energy with what life is trying to show me? Your pain is not a cosmic accident, it's compressed information. Each challenge carries a specific code about capabilities your soul needs to develop. It's as if the universe speaks in a symbolic language that your intellect doesn't understand, but your intuition perfectly recognizes. Ancient traditions knew this. Shamans read wounds as maps of power. Alchemists saw crises as ingredients for transmutation. Modern neuroscience confirms traumas processed consciously strengthen specific brain areas related to resilience and wisdom. Different experiences prepare you for different capacities. Rejection and abandonment prepare you for emotional autonomy and unconditional self-love. You're being trained not to depend on external approval to feel whole. Loss and grief develop your capacity to love without attachment and find meaning beyond the material. They prepare you to value presence over possession. Betrayal and disappointment strengthen your intuition and discernment. You learn to trust your inner wisdom more than external appearances. Illnesses and physical limitations reconnect you with what truly matters. They force a reassessment of priorities and develop deep compassion. Failures and humiliations destroy the false ego and build authentic humility. They prepare you for success that doesn't corrupt. Nothing happens too early or too late. Your soul has a schedule that your conscious mind doesn't see. You receive each lesson exactly when you have the capacity to process it, even if you feel unprepared. Greg Braden explains that we live multiple simultaneous realities. The version of you facing the current challenge is the one with resources, perhaps dormant, to overcome it. The universe doesn't give impossible burdens, only burdens that reveal forgotten strengths. To decipher your current lesson, first, identify the emotional pattern. What feeling does this challenge most awaken? Fear, anger, sadness, inadequacy. The feeling points to the area being developed. Second, observe the opposite. If it awakens insecurity, you're being prepared for genuine confidence. If it awakens loneliness, you're developing self-companionship. The universe always works with polarities. Third, ask your soul. In silence, ask, if I completely mastered this situation, what kind of person would I be? The first answer that comes is usually the true one. Fourth, look 5 years ahead. Visualize the version of you who has completely overcome this. What qualities does that person have that you're still developing? Every night, before sleeping, place your hand on your heart and ask, what capacity in me is being strengthened today? Don't force answers. Just ask the question and trust that your inner wisdom is processing the information. There's an enormous difference between resignation and surrender. Resignation is defeated passivity. Surrender is active cooperation with forces greater than yourself. It's like the difference between being dragged by the current and consciously surfing the wave. When you consciously surrender, you don't abdicate your power, you multiply it. Like a musician playing in an orchestra, they don't lose their individuality, but their individual sound is amplified when harmonized with the ensemble. Tom Campbell, a NASA physicist, explains that we live in a reality based on conscious information. When you align your personal intention with the greater evolution, you access what he calls fundamental reality, the field of all possibilities. Joe Dispenza measures this in the laboratory. People in states of conscious surrender produce electromagnetic fields 3,000% more coherent than normal. These fields influence surrounding matter, literally organizing probabilities in your favor. When you're in alignment, you'll notice specific signs. Synchronized flow. Things begin to flow with less effort. Not that problems disappear, but solutions appear in unexpected ways. Peace and uncertainty. You develop a strange calm even when you don't know how things will resolve. It's as if something in you knows you're being taken care of. Amplified intuition. Your perceptions become more precise. You know things before logic explains them. Sustained energy. Less emotional fatigue, even facing challenges. You're being fed by a greater source. To practice this cooperation. In the morning, align your intentions. Wake up and ask, how can I cooperate with what life wants to teach me today? Don't look for specific answers. Just plant the intention. Throughout the day, practice constant tuning. When you encounter resistance, pause and breathe. I choose to cooperate with what's happening now. It's not about passive acceptance, but aligning your energy to respond in an elevated way. In the evening, express gratitude for the preparation. Before sleeping, thank the day's experiences, especially the difficult ones. Thank you for preparing me for something I cannot yet see. Here's a simple 5-minute ritual for retuning. Minute 1. Breathe deeply and place your hand on your heart. Minute 2. Feel genuine gratitude for 3 specific things in your current life. Minute 3. Visualize golden light descending from the universe and entering through the top of your head, harmonizing every cell in your body. Minute 4. See yourself gracefully cooperating with all of tomorrow's challenges, knowing that each one is preparation for something greater. Minute 5. Finish by sending love to all the people who are part of your journey, including those who brought difficulties. When you truly understand that the universe isn't testing you but preparing you, something fundamental changes in your relationship with life. You stop being resistant and become receptive. You stop fighting against the river and learn to navigate consciously. This perspective shift doesn't just alleviate suffering, it activates quantum fields of possibility that were blocked by resistance. You become a conscious co-creator of your experience, aligned with the greater intelligence that orchestrates all things. The poet Rumi captured this transformation beautifully. Your task is not to seek for love, but merely to seek and find all the barriers within yourself that you have built against it. When you recognize preparation rather than punishment, you begin dismantling those barriers, not just to love, but to all the possibilities your soul is reaching toward. And then finally you understand, it was never about surviving the tests. It was always about flourishing through the preparation. Take a deep breath now. Think about the challenge that's been weighing most heavily on your heart. Can you see it differently now? Not as a cruel test, but as precisely calibrated preparation. This isn't about denying your pain or pretending everything is wonderful. It's about accessing a deeper truth, that even in your darkest moments something greater is at work, preparing you, strengthening you, guiding you toward capacities you haven't yet fully expressed. The universe isn't testing you to see if you'll break. It's preparing you to become more than you currently are. I invite you to experiment with this perspective shift in the coming week. When challenges arise, pause and ask yourself, what if this isn't punishment but preparation? What might I be being prepared for? Then notice how this simple question changes your emotional response, your physical sensations, and ultimately the actions you take in response to difficulty. Join our community of conscious creators by subscribing to this channel. Your presence here is no accident. It's part of your preparation journey, connecting you with insights and perspectives that align with your evolution. In the comments below, share one challenge you're currently facing and what you think it might be preparing you for. This declaration not only anchors your new perspective, but creates connection with others walking similar paths. Thank you for your presence, your attention, and your willingness to see beyond the surface of your experiences. Until next time, remember, you are not being tested. You are being prepared for something greater than you can currently imagine.